Hey everybody, it's Hayden. I thought I would try to do a presentation via Zoom all on my own. So obviously this is going to be unedited. It's probably not going to be the best, but I thought I would start a new series where I do something like this and give presentations on topics that I think are really important. And today is going to be on why marine wildlife conservation is important, how you can get involved, how you can help, all that good stuff. So I'm going to share my screen. I've never done a Zoom. Here we go. I use Microsoft Teams. Okay, so, all right. So why is marine wildlife conservation so important? So it's important for a lot of different reasons. And first, I would like to talk about what it is. So marine conservation, also known as, I call it marine wildlife conservation just because I focus more on wildlife, but there is a good distinction to know between the two because marine wildlife obviously is geared towards animals, but also wildlife conservation in general. It does have to be with both the flora and the fauna. So you can't have one without the other because they both complement each other. And in order to save a species, you have to save its surrounding areas as well. So the actual definition is the protecting and preservation of ecosystems and wildlife in the sea. Now, you might be wondering, why are we protecting it? Why does it need to be preserved? And what's basically, again, why do we have to be protecting it? Doesn't it, like, it's been around longer than we have? And the issue is actually with people. So there's so much plastic pollution all over the world. Just billions and billions of tons going to the ocean shores, going to the deep sea. There's a lot of issues, as you can see on the top left, with the turtle netting and discarding fishing gear not properly. So when you discard your fishing gear, like for bigger ships typically, or even just smaller recreational ships, um, the animals will get actually caught inside of the net, and they can actually, most of the time they'll end up drowning if no human sees them in the net, or getting stuck because a lot of animals need to keep moving and or need to go up into the surface to breathe. And unfortunately, obviously, if you're stuck in the net, you can't exactly do that. Even if you don't need that to breathe, um, you'll end up dying of starvation or something. Or as you can see on the bottom left, with the mako shark, it can actually tear into their skin, which obviously also not good. Best to cut the line. Or on the top right, you can see with the crab. So a lot of the times when animals get stuck, they just make that their new home if they're able to. So as you can see, this crab, it's thinking that probably the cup is a shell, but obviously it is not. And at the bottom right, this is a dead seagull, and they ended up cutting it open, and it's also called a plague of plastics, as you can see, because inside of the stomach, it's all just plastic that he's eating, causing his death. Here's some facts about it too. There are currently 5.25 trillion pieces of plastic in the world's ocean. So think about that for a second. And you can compare with plastic bags. If you look at the left graphic, and it's some 18 billion pounds of plastic waste flows into the ocean every year from coastal regions. That's the equivalent of 5 grocery bags of plastic trash sitting on every single foot of the coastline around the world. Basically, that's not good. And so we have to start asking, what can we do? How can we help? Because if we don't, unfortunately, a lot of our beaches and all over the world is going to look like the photo on the bottom right, and that can't happen. So here's something that I found while on a walk a week ago. I was walking to go recycle some things across the street because there's a bigger recycle receptacle that my family takes our plastics to. If we try not to use any, but if we do, that's where we take it to. And as you can see, I found a storm drain with just dozens of plastic bottles, non-reusable plastic bottles, wrappers. So what I decided to do, I decided to take action. So what I did, I contacted the mayor's office of my city, trying to get asking for them to remove them, because in my city, and like most cities around America at least, every sewage drain is going to end up going into the ocean. So as we've seen on these types of photos, that's basically what's going to happen. Mostly like the one on the top right or the bottom right. So if you see stuff like this, it's always great to reach out. You can do that by phone. You can do that by email if you don't like talking on the phone. Like I don't like it. I got a response back in about 24 hours, and next thing I knew, the day after, it was completely gone. So it's just by taking little steps, acting locally, that can really help a global effect. Make sure those plastics, obviously, first try to reuse and reduce as much as you can, but if it's absolutely needed and if you can't do both of those two, obviously resort to recycling and make sure that that recycle is going into the proper area. Now, not everything is doom and gloom, you know, so here are some positive good news on plastic pollution, which is helping marine wildlife conservation. So governments are acting locally and globally, as I talked about before. That can easily be you as well, or just going on little walks around your town, picking up the plastics or any trash that you see and disposing of it properly for the people that didn't. Right now with the coronavirus, if you see mask or gloves, obviously wear your own mask and gloves while you're doing it, because you don't want to accidentally, catch the virus. But if you see masks, before you throw them away, try to snip the strings on the side, because what can happen is that it can get caught in birds or other marine wildlife, on like their hands or around their bodies, and it can cut into them or prevent them from doing what they need to do to survive. Um, so taking little actions, acting locally and globally, and make sure that you get your government involved if possible. Some other good news. I believe it was about a year ago, that I might be wrong, but turtles started to return to this really popular Mumbai beach. It was really popular because there was not a lot of wildlife seen there anymore, because they haven't seen there in 20 years, because it's so much plastic pollution that looked like a beach on the bottom right photo. But they're starting to come back, which is good, because that means that people are acting and taking up the oceans and the beaches. Another good one, Indonesia, they pledge $1 billion a year to ocean cleanup funds. So the biggest thing that we can do for conservation, at least that it's accessible for every single person on this planet without needing like a certificate or diving certificate or anything, or not needing your career to be revolved around wildlife conservation. Ocean cleanups. That's one of the best things you can do. My personal favorite one that I would recommend everybody check out is Clean This Beach Up on Instagram. I'll leave their link in the bio. But what's really good about ocean cleanups is so that when you pick up your trash on the beach, or if you see any plastic on the beach, what you can do, you can pick it up and you can dispose of it properly so that it does not end up in the ocean. Best to take it, if you're able to a receptacle that is not right next to the beach, just in case it gets windy. You don't want it to be blown right back into where you found it. Another thing, people are marching for awareness. Last week was, I believe, the second climate change global march. I believe it was last week. I might be wrong about that. I couldn't find any that were close to me. So I wasn't able to participate or find one. But what's good about marches is that it really spreads awareness on cable TV, which is where a lot of Americans spend a good chunk of their day. So by participating and posting on social media that you're there, it could really help people see what is going on. And last but not least, India is one of the biggest plastic polluters in the world. And actually, in 2017, they decided that they were going to take one of the biggest steps you can do and absolutely ban all plastic together. So, plastic bags, cutlery, cups, everything like that. So, they're on the right track. And I think, obviously, other countries, especially like bigger countries like the UK and America, we need to really start focusing on that, because we are some of the biggest polluters in the world. So, what you can do, if you do have a scuba certificate, it's I would really suggest that, or your scuba card, that you join coral reef restoration areas around you to try to start rebuilding coral reefs, because they are dying from bleaching, being stepped on, climate change with the UV rays or bleaching them. It's just not a really good sight, because that's where the majority of marine animals actually live. So, or they feed around that area, or they give birth in that area, and they are vanishing very quickly. So if you're able to volunteer to help bring that back to life, it's just a couple hours on your weekend, and you can make a really lasting impact. Or if you want, you can even uh, work for restoration areas. I know that there's one near me called the Coral Reef Restoration Foundation, and they do stuff exactly like this. Actually, it might even be their picture. I'm not really sure. Another thing that you can do for wildlife conservation, particularly marine ones, is not buy um, souvenirs that. Sorry, I am rambling. I've been talking for a while without pausing. Best thing you can do is not buy animal products. I know it takes a lot for people to go vegan. You don't necessarily have to do that. I'm not pushing that on you, but um, that's one of the big things that you can do. But when it comes to like shops near the beach, I've noticed, and I'm actually starting to take action on this because it's been bugging me every time I go to the beach. So I thought I might start doing something about it. Animal like sharks, those are my favorite animals. If it's very common to see in tourist shops or surf shops, shark tooth necklaces, and they like praise that they're like fossilized, but that's not the case. If you see a tooth that's white, that is not fossilized. Unfortunately, there's the biggest chance and probably the greater chance that that shark was killed. The shark on the display, that great white, is a good chance that a bit ago, before they were a protected species, even now people are still fishing them legally. But it's a good chance that anytime that you see a tooth that is like light brown or like pearly white like that, the shark was killed for its sole purpose of being put on the market to later be like thrown in a trash bag, probably. And that's not good because sharks are in a really decimation right now. Global, I would call it, honestly, I would call it the shark genocide because that is what is happening. So many shark species right now are at risk for endangerment. I believe out of the 464 species of sharks, over 30% of them are endangered or on the path to being endangered. And because they're top tier predators, that is not good because if we don't have the person at the top tier of the trophic levels, the ecosystem is just going to collapse. So if you see anything like this, you can report it because I have made a project that I am releasing the day that this video is also coming out called the Shark Safe Project. So I'm going to be collaborating with tourist shops and surf shops that are selling in my area or just around my whole state, mostly on like the bigger cities is like Orlando, because I'm in Florida, so like Orlando, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Tampa, those types of places. I'm going to try to be collaborating with those owners actually to try to cease the sale of Shark Anatomy, in hopes that it'll stop selling and, saving one shark, basically one accessory and souvenir at a time. So what can you do? Like I said before, you can participate at beach cleanups. You can write to your local government or state or federal government even about things that things that you're seeing that you would like to see a change that you can't necessarily do, whether you're not a lawmaker or a senator or a mayor or anything. They work for us at the end of the day. Though it doesn't seem like it at times, that's originally what they're there for, and you can start pushing that. Otherwise, if not, you can vote them out. So yeah, especially with the election coming up, I really urge everybody to vote. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but I think you can guess who I would be more pushing for as the environmental candidate of the two. So make sure you vote. Make sure your voice is heard. Joining coral restorations, writing to the Shark Safe project. I'll have that link in the bio as well. There's just so many stuff you can do, and reaching out to people, trying to get them involved with you is also great. So yeah, I think that's about it. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Don't know how to do that. All right, I don't know how to do this, but I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I hope you learned something from it. And if you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comment section below. Give it a thumbs up if you learned something, or if you see something that you would like to get involved in. If you want places in your area but you don't know where to look, always comment, and I'll try to get back to you for that. And make sure to subscribe as well for more presentations like this. This was fun. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing. There we go. Okay. Bye.